Hello, I'm Erik Robey.
And I'm Carolyn Ryan. Happy Easter, happy Passover, and welcome to Anne Arundel County Week in Review. Today we'll take a trip back in time to the War of 1812, and we'll look at the new smart meters from the electric company. But first, making headlines this week, the city of Annapolis teamed up with the county to preserve a popular park and make a deal that's making everyone happy. The county had started the process of selling a small piece of property called Whitmore Park across from the Arundel Center in downtown Annapolis. But the park has become home to small festivals and events like First Sundays, and many in the community were worried that if it was sold off, it would become an office building. County Executive Leopold, Councilman Chris Trumbauer, and Mayor Josh Cohen decided to broker a deal where the city would take over upkeep of the park instead. The half-acre parcel is worth about $640,000, but the county wanted to save about $100,000 for repairs to the park and about $15,000 annually in maintenance. Nobody's wasting any time getting started on the new lease either. A ribbon-cutting event will be held on Earth Day, which is Saturday, April 21st at 9 a.m. Now, this is no ordinary ribbon cutting. Come prepared to work, because after the ceremony, volunteers will start a beautification project they're calling greening, right after the handshakes and pictures.
Well, Carolyn, after such a great story like that, I hate to be so negative, but did anybody go out and vote in the primaries this week? It was election day on Tuesday, folks. I mean, primaries are typically less popular than general elections, but the weather was great. There really was no excuse not to get out and vote. Some of the polling places looked empty. I think I saw some tumbleweed blowing across one of those gymnasiums out there. Our producer voted up in Riviera Beach at Riviera Beach Elementary School, and the judges there told him the turnout was about 10% at 4:30 p.m. We can do much better than that, folks. Well, there were some winners. Mitt Romney beat out Rick Santorum for the Republican presidential nomination, and all of the Democratic incumbents in Congress sailed to easy victories. There were also some newcomers who won the chance to take on powerful incumbents. Many of us are familiar with State Senator Nancy Jacobs and Delegate Tony O'Donnell from the Maryland General Assembly. Well, they won the chance to take on Congressman Dutch Ruppersberger and Steny Hoyer. Newcomers Faith Loudon, Eric Delano, and Dan Bongino beat out their rivals to take on Donna Edwards, John Sarbanes, and Ben Cardin. We want to thank all the poll workers who came out and facilitated a fair and free election. Let's make sure we all get out and vote in November, folks.
As always, our correspondents have been pounding the pavement all over the county. Our first community spotlight is from Mark Chang, who went to find out more about these smart meters that BGE has been talking about. Mark?
Thanks to both of you in the studio. I'm over at BGE headquarters over in downtown Baltimore, and with me today I have Robert Gould, who's Vice President of BGE, and we're here to talk about the new smart meters that are coming out to Anne Arundel County. First of all, thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you for providing this public service to the residents of Anne Arundel County. Could you tell the folks out there what's the difference between the old meters and the smart meters that are coming out?
I think when customers look at the meters, if you look at it, it's really no different than what you see on your house today. And little unknown fact for some customers is they think that the meter's attached to their house and that they own the meter, but it really is the property of the utility. But what really is going to be different is the functionality of the meter. And it really is going to change the paradigm, the relationship that you and I have as the utility versus the customer. No longer is it just going to be one-way communications where basically we pick up the meter read once a month and know what the usage was, and we charge you for that every 30 days. This is going to give you as a customer an opportunity to significantly save more money on your bill. And what I mean by that is you're going to have about a 24-hour delay on your energy usage that will be available to you on your computer, on your mobile phone, what have you over time. And you'll be able to use that information combined with what we will be providing to you in a couple of years or over a time period, which will be known as Smart Energy Rewards, which will give you opportunities to basically take advantage of rebates for using your appliances or using your energy at off-peak times. So it's going to be really changing the entire paradigm of the relationship that we know today.
Okay, great. And you have a sample of the new smart meter here.
Yeah, if you look at it, it's really no different than what you have on your house today. Same size, it'll take just a couple of minutes to swap out. When our customers have their meter swapped out, they may notice a momentary delay in their power usage. There may be some of the blinking that we are used to seeing, you know, when we have a storm come through that perhaps momentarily puts you out of power but then pops back in very quickly. That may occur. But if you look at it, it's very similar to what you see today. This is an electric meter. We're also going to be changing our gas meters out. Now, when I say change the gas meters, we're not going to change the entire meter.
Okay.
But what we're going to do is on the gas side, we're going to be taking out, we're going to be putting on a module basically. And again, the module and this new meter will enable what's known as two-way communications. So today, I think customers are surprised by the fact that we really don't know what's going on the other end of that meter. If we have a storm that comes through, we really don't know if you're out of power. That's why you hear us ask so often during storms to give us a call and let us know when you're out of power. With these meters, we will have that two-way technology to know when this individual meter is not working. Therefore, we'll know when you're out of power. It will allow us to restore power much more quickly. It'll allow us to be able to provide you information about your energy usage that we just simply can't do today. And at the end of the day, it really is taking us into a whole new era of energy management and the relationship with our customers.
Okay, great. And when are smart meters expected to be rolled out in Anne Arundel County?
So we're going to start rolling out meters sometime in early May. And we will be starting in the southern part of the territory in the Pasadena area. Okay. And then we're going to roll from there across our entire service territory. So you'll see us move out, and if you go to bg.com, you'll be able to see a map and a schedule associated with when we're going to be in specific areas. So we'll start in Pasadena, and then we'll move our way into other areas such as Annapolis or Deal or other areas, and then we'll move our way up toward the BWI corridor area. Okay. So a lot of good stuff that's coming, and it's going to be painless for our customers for the most part. We're trying to make this a very simple process. We're taking 4 years to roll this program out across our entire service territory, so we'll be done by 2014. Okay. And I think the other thing that's important to know is that from a cost perspective, the program's going to cost about $500 million to install. We are the recipients of a $200 million stimulus grant, a federal stimulus grant. So that's going to reduce the cost for all of us as customers down to about $282 million.
Okay, great. You mentioned earlier that it's going to be a painless process. Could you tell the folks out there about the notification process that residents will experience? So
what will happen is we first wanted to understand what other utilities have gone through around the country. So we benchmarked other utilities on the West Coast and the South and so forth. And what we found was that as soon as you can start communicating with your customers, so we have what's called a 70-day countdown internally. We will start with community meetings and other types of events 70 days out from the time we're going to be in a certain zip code. But when we're coming to your home, you can expect to get a postcard from us about 2 to 4 weeks out from the time that we're actually going to be coming to your home. And if your home has an inside meter the day before we come, you'll be receiving a robocall, basically an automated call that will say we'll be coming to your home, and we're going to be needing to gain access to swap out your meter. Now, for customers who have outside meters, we'll go to their homes, we'll swap their meter out, and we will leave them a door hanger that says what we did. We either changed out your electric meter, we changed out your electric and gas meter, whatever it is. If we could not get in, we'll leave you that card as well and ask you to contact us, and we will have hours available to you as a customer, again, trying to make it convenient for you to call us, and we'll have 4-hour blocks Monday through Friday and also on Saturdays. So very simple for customers to give us a call. Our representatives will have ID with them and phone numbers so that, you know, if you're a customer who's never seen a BGE employee in years, you've got an indoor meter. And heretofore, we've always read it remotely from the street with our vehicles that can pick up the readings. You know, we understand customers may have some concerns there, so there's going to be a lot of ID, a lot of materials going out, and customers will certainly understand what's happening before we show up at their doorstep. Okay, great. And one of the first areas you mentioned is the Pasadena area, and my understanding is there's going to be some open houses that you all are going to be hosting this month, actually. Yeah, there will be. So we've been trying to get the word out. Okay. We're going to have some open houses this month, and then extending into May. For that information, customers can easily go to bg.com. We're going to have a section, we actually do have a section today on smart meters, and all that information will be there. And of course, if there's any questions, they can always call us at 800-685-0123.
Okay, great. And I know your team's been working very close with Anne Arundel County government, and we'll do what we can also to get the word out to the folks. And we have already started doing that, and we'll also get the information out there. So consider us an extended partner in getting the information out to folks. Shifting over to, got a lot of different programs with BG&E. How is this different from Peak Rewards and other programs you might have?
It's really no different. It's an extension of it. We see this as an extension of all of these demand response programs, and our goal is to try and help encourage energy efficiency and to help you and frankly all of our customers to become much more energy efficient. Peak Rewards will still be in place. It will be a program that will be available, but it will be geared to what it is today, which is on peak demand days, such as what we had last year where we had 106-degree days, for you to be able to take advantage of the program, to have the financial benefits of signing up for the program and allowing us to be able to cycle your air conditioning. That's the real benefit of it, whether you have the air conditioning or the hot water heater piece of the program. But smart meters are going to be an extension of that. It's all part of one big umbrella set of programs. The pricing programs, when we roll those out in another year, those are going to be really key for customers because that's where they can really save some significant dollars on a sustained basis by having the ability to use their electricity at times that are going to be off-peak, that they'll be able to save some real dollars through those pricing programs.
Okay, great. And with us living in the information technology age, there's so many different tools out there, cell phones and computers. How can folks use those different tools to help manage their BG&E rates?
Yep. So what we expect to do next year is roll out a new program that will allow you and I as customers to sign up for our preferred means of communication. So cell, SMS text, email. Those will be options that will be available to you. It will really help us because it will give us more ability to communicate with our customers, whereas today we only have the phone number and the address of record. So it really does limit us in our ability to communicate with our customers. That's going to give us a whole new platform from which to communicate all of this information.
Okay, and on that new to communication, I understand the technology is radio frequency, and could you tell us, is it pretty safe with that?
Yeah, this is a very safe technology. There's a lot of concern that's been out there over both the safety of the meters relative to what's known as radio frequency waves, and then there's also been some concern about data privacy and security. First, talking about the radio frequency aspect of things, this meter transmits far less radio frequency waves than your microwave, your wireless router in your home. Your cell phone. Cell phone, I believe, is 50,000 times more radio frequency waves than this meter. So this meter which is going to only transmit on average about 2 minutes a day, is not going to be something that should be causing concern. I'm certainly not concerned about it. I look forward to having it on my house, and I have kids. So I'm very comfortable with that. From a data privacy and security aspect, we actually have encrypted data off these meters, and we have actually hired hackers to try and break into the system to understand where the gaps might be, and then we repair them and address them. But everybody knows that in this day and age, you have to be absolutely secure with the information that you both gather, and then what do you do with it later? We don't sell the information. We hold our third parties and our vendors and suppliers to that same commitment that none of the data that we collect will be sold or used for anything other than what we need to have for the information to provide back to you to be able to take advantage of pricing programs.
Okay, great. And again, for residents out there, what's the contact information they can get a hold of BG&E on?
So bg.com, www.bg.com, very easy to go and get the information, whether it's the installation schedule or you just want to know information about smart meters. Or you can call us at 800-685-0123.
Okay, thank you so much, Robert. This has been very informative, really appreciate it, and good luck to rolling this out to the folks in Anne Arundel County and the rest of the state of Maryland. Well, you heard it, smart meters are coming to Anne Arundel County, so be on the lookout for it, and the BG&E and also our office through Anne Arundel County government will also get the word out the best we can to inform citizens of these new technological changes. Reporting from BG&E headquarters in Baltimore for Anne Arundel County Week in Review, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Mark. Hopefully people who take advantage from the program will save a little money and a little electricity.
Well, folks, there's more Weekend Review to come. When we come back, we'll meet Jim Morrison. No, not the lead singer for The Doors, the man charged with coming up with the War of 1812 Bicentennial celebration right here in Anne Arundel County. So stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
Seven 7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
And welcome back, folks. Well, we're pleased to be joined today by the chairman of our 1812 Commission. And when I say the words 1812, I'm talking about Jim Morrison in the year of 1812 and why it's so significant. Because the War of 1812 happened. Maryland played its pretty significant part in the war, but Anne Arundel County also played its part in the War of 1812. Jim, tell us a little bit about why the War of 1812.
Well, first of all, I have to say I was not born in 1812. So, as a historian,
Henry Schmidt might disagree with me on that.
Good buddy Henry Schmidt might be able to help there. But just to introduce this, the War of 1812 was started by us, the United States of America. And not many people know that we declared war on England. We, one of the puniest countries in the world, declared war on one of the most powerful countries in the world. And many, many people thought that was stupid. For example, there's a famous officer out of Virginia, Light Horse Harry Lee, who did not agree with the war of 1812. He visited Baltimore to help a friend out who was running a newspaper which was against the war. And they all got beaten up quite horribly. And this is a guy who was, I think, the 6th governor of the state of Virginia. And that's how strongly people were for it and against it. So we declared war. And the first 2 years of the war were a war of independence for Canada, because we declared war on the British to try and take Canada. Not many people know that. So the first 2 years of the war were a war of national pride for Canada. At the end of 2 years, it was quite clear that the United States was not going to drive Britain out of the Western Hemisphere, and Canada would remain Canada. The last year of the war, the British, who were very concerned with not falling to Napoleon, the big war in the world was the Napoleonic Wars at that time. We were just a little sideshow. In 1814, the beginning of that, Napoleon went away. The British had a lot of soldiers with nothing to do, and here we were, the British cousins who'd done the British no favor by declaring war on them when they were involved with Napoleon. They came over to do a job on us. And the fact that we survived that is a miracle, really.
Absolutely, it's a miracle. Well, Jim, let's talk a little bit about County Executive Leopold put together a committee. He's asked you to be the chair of this committee, and the goal of this committee is to celebrate and remember 200 years ago, and to remember the part that, as small as it is, that Anne Arundel County actually played in the War of 1812. Tell us a little bit about what the committee's been up to and what we have planned.
Well, we have 2 or 3 things that are very important here. One is we have in Anne Arundel County 12 specific locations that were related to the War of 1812. The biggest one is Annapolis. Annapolis, with 4 or 5 forts defending it, was better defended than Washington, D.C., believe it or not. And that's why it was so easy for the British to walk into Washington and burn it in August of 1814. They could have done the same thing to Annapolis, but there wasn't the reason to attack Annapolis as there was the capital of the United States. And having the annoyance of forts here when they only had one down on the Potomac River, made it much easier to attack Washington. Plus the fact most of the army, the professional army of the United States was up on the Canadian border trying to take them. So the ability to defend down here, when you look at Washington, where our defenses were so sorry, and then look that Baltimore, Maryland and Baltimore, turned the British back when they tried to do the same thing for Baltimore. The contrast between disaster and triumph is marvelous right here in that period. For Anne Arundel County specifically, one of the neat things about the story of the War of 1812 is the Star-Spangled Banner. Francis Scott Key composing his poem, The Defense of Fort McHenry, which became the Star-Spangled Banner, in 1814 at the time of the Battle for Baltimore. But that's the Star-Spangled Banner. But the Star-Spangled Banner didn't become our national anthem until 1931. And it became that. This is an Anne Arundel story, because Congressman John Charles Linthicum, Maryland, Linthicum, Anne Arundel County, submitted legislation for 13 years to the Congress to make the Star-Spangled Banner our national anthem. And in 1931, it passed the Congress, and Hoover signed it. So that's a definite Anne Arundel County story.
Right.
Now, locally to us up here, the two other sites in North County are Curtis Creek Furnace. Curtis Creek, right where Furnace Branch Road meets the Furnace Creek. Essentially in downtown Glen Burnie, there was a furnace there which provided munitions, cannonballs, trucks for the cannon sort of thing, for our forces in the War of 1812. Everybody knows, at least lives in this part of the world, knows about that Furnace Branch is there and all that sort of stuff. But very few people know that it played a real role in supplying armaments for our guys then. Then you have Hancock's Resolution, where the British burned a very fine American schooner there. Hancock's Resolution was 17 years old at the time of the War of 1812. And it's still there, and it's still beautiful. And Captain Francis Hancock was a captain in the Maryland Militia helping to defend. Now, South County is involved in this too, because when the British left Baltimore, they just didn't sail away. They took their time going down the bay, and they did a very fine job of raiding various places in South County. There's some names like Norman's Retreat and Town Point and other places in the general Deal area where there were skirmishes up and down that area for a while before the British finally left. So we are in the process, other things the Commission is doing, we're in the process of developing a tourist map, if you wish, of the county, identifying these sites, telling you how to get there, and telling you a little bit of the story of each of these sites.
Great.
Now, what other events do you have planned to commemorate the bicentennial?
Okay, thank you.
Kind of in and around Anne Arundel County.
All right. Well, the first one coming up is very soon, and that is the Pride of Baltimore. And you will be seeing, I think, a marvelous picture of the Pride of Baltimore, which was a topsail schooner, the fastest sailing vessels in the world at that time. And it's going to be arriving in Annapolis on Wednesday, April 11th. That's about a week away. Around 5 p.m., and they say in grand style, cannons blazing and sails set. And if you're at the dock in downtown Annapolis, National Sailing Hall of Fame Pier, at that time, you should have a great show. And they're going to be there in Annapolis and open to the public on Saturday, April 14th from 4:30 to 7 p.m. and Sunday, April 15th from noon to 5 p.m. Tours are free.
Great.
That's one thing. The next thing that's happening in the local area is that at the state level, they are having what they call a sailabration starting on between June 13th and June 19th, where about 36 ships, tall ships, ships from the American, the Canadian, and the British navies are all coming in for a week of sailabration, with things happening in the Inner Harbor, Fells Point, Canton, Locust Point. The Blue Angels fly over on Saturday, June 16th and Sunday, June 17th. Fort McHenry has a special program on June 16th called having fireworks and concerts. And if you wanted to track this, and it took me a while to find this, so the website you go to is starspangled200.org. You scroll down to the bottom, and you see something that says Star Spangled Sailabration, and you go into there for events and information, and it will have the full schedule of what's happening when.
Well, Jim, a lot's going on in Anne Arundel County. A lot's going on in the state of Maryland, the War of 1812. Thank you for what you and your commission have done here in the county and what you're going to continue to do to make sure that people remember what happened 200 years ago here in the state of Maryland. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the great history lesson. Folks, we're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, there'll be more Week in Review. Stay with us.
Coming home can be hard if you're a veteran of Iraq or Afghanistan. You may feel like you're all alone, but you're not alone. At iava.org, your fellow vets are all around you. Join our free online community, get the resources you need, and connect to other vets who know where you're coming from. iava.org. We've got your back.
Welcome back. On March 5th, 2012, at approximately 4:15 p.m., officers from the Northern District responded to the Panera Bread located in the 6600 block of Ritchie Highway in Glen Burnie for a report of a peeping Tom. Joining us now is Public Information Officer Justin Mulcahy with further details on this investigation. Justin.
When officers arrived on scene, they spoke with a 19-year-old female victim who indicated she was using the women's restroom stall. That's when she saw a man's hand reach under the partition with a cell phone in an attempt to videotape her. The victim alerted store management, who presented officers with surveillance video of that incident. Now fast forward to March 27th around 7:30 p.m. That's when officers from the Northern District responded to that same Panera Bread restaurant for a similar incident with a male in the women's restroom. Officers spoke with a customer who indicated that she was in the restroom outside of the stalls with her two small children when a male exited one of the stalls laughing. She immediately alerted management, who presented officers with surveillance footage from that incident. Now, it was determined in that incident that it was the same suspect from the previous incident on March 5th. Now, for a third and most recent incident related to these cases was on April 3rd at 10:35 in the morning. That's when officers again responded to the Panera Bread because of an employee recognizing the suspect attempting to enter the women's restroom again. Officers spoke with an employee who reported that she was leaving the restroom area when she recognized that same suspect again attempting to enter into the female restroom area. She yelled for a male co-worker, and the suspect quickly fled the store. Now, employees followed the male to his vehicle and were able to obtain a tag number. They relayed that information to officers. Through the investigation, the suspect was identified as a registered sex offender without a fixed address. Now, a short time later, detectives were able to locate the suspect in an area that he frequents. It was a shopping center in Brooklyn Park. He was taken into custody and charged with 2 counts of peeping Tom, along with 2 counts of private place prurient intent. That suspect is Michael Nicholas Villa, age 50, of no fixed address. And again, he is a registered sex offender, so please pay attention to that photo. On April 4th, that's going to be our second incident, about 2:36 in the morning. That's when officers from the Northern District were in the area of the Royal Farm Store in the 6900 block of Ritchie Highway in Glen Burnie when they observed an altercation between 4 male subjects. Now, 3 of the suspects were assaulting the 4th male in this incident in the parking lot. The suspects then fled on foot after observing a uniformed officer on the lot. The officer spoke with the victim from the incident, a 43-year-old male who reported that he was walking in the 1400 block of Crane Highway earlier when he was approached by the 3 male suspects. They demanded money, began assaulting him, and forcibly removed an undisclosed amount of money from the victim before initially leaving. They returned, approached him a second time, that was the incident on the Royal Farm Store lot, and continued their assault. Officers responding to the area located a male suspect who was confirmed to be one of the individuals involved, placed him into custody. That suspect was charged with robbery, 2nd-degree assault, theft, along with disorderly conduct. Officers continued to canvass of the immediate vicinity but were unable to locate any additional suspects, and this investigation is ongoing. The first suspect is James Harvey Flemons, age 20, of 6902 apartment C4 in Glen Burnie. Second suspect is described as a black male in his teens wearing dark pants, a black jacket with reflective white stripes on the sleeve and back. The third suspect is described as a black male in his teens with a small build. Now, folks, as always, if you have any information on the crimes or suspects mentioned on the show, don't hesitate to call, email, or text your tip to Metro Crime Stoppers hotline. That number is available 24 hours a day, toll-free at 1-866-7-LOCKUP, or you could text message MCS plus your message to crimes at 274-637. You can also visit the website at www.metrocrimestoppers.net. Now, remember, phone calls are not recorded and callers remain anonymous. You might even be eligible for a cash reward of up to $2,000.
Thanks, Justin. Well, that's a little bit of a creepy story. Maybe we'll save that one for Halloween, but it's a good thing they caught this offender.
Well, this week in Hot Topics, the Anne Arundel County Fire Department responded to more than 1,311 calls for service. This included more than 1,030 emergency medical calls and 78 fire calls. One incident this week sent 3 people to a regional trauma center as a result of an early morning accident in North County. With us now to tell us more is Division Chief Michael Cox of the Anne Arundel County Fire Department. Chief?
Around 1:53 a.m. on Saturday, March 31st, 2012, Anne Arundel County firefighters responded to a reported motor vehicle collision in the area of Crane Highway and 4th Avenue in the Glen Burnie area of the county. The first unit to arrive on the scene reported a 2-vehicle collision involving a Maryland Transportation Authority police patrol car and a civilian vehicle. A closer assessment of the scene revealed a total of 3 patients, 2 police officers who were trapped in their patrol vehicle and a civilian in the second vehicle. Firefighters operating on the scene immediately began providing care to the 3 victims and the stabilization of the vehicles involved in the crash. Firefighters utilizing specialized hydraulic rescue tools worked approximately 20 minutes to free the 2 trapped officers in the police cruiser. The incident began on Dorsey Road when the driver of a white Nissan fled from police when they attempted to pull the vehicle over. A chase ensued and ended in a crash. In all, 3 victims of the crash suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries. They were all transported to the R. Adams Cowley Shock Trauma Center in Baltimore via ground ambulance.
Thanks, Chief. Law enforcement officials advised that the 2 police officers and the civilian that were injured in the crash were later released from the hospital. The driver of the Nissan, a 24-year-old man from Glen Burnie, was arrested at the scene after a brief struggle. He was charged with driving under the influence, reckless driving, resisting arrest, and numerous other traffic offenses.
Well, now we turn to Mary Felter, who is in Annapolis, to give us a preview of a very important event for people who care for their parents and individuals with disabilities or a family member who was recently involved in a serious injury or had an accident or a surgery. Mary.
Thank you. Today my guest is Mary Chaput, who is the director of our National Family Caregiver Support Program, as well as our Respite Care Program. And I asked her to come to the program here today, which is being filmed at the Doubletree Hotel in Annapolis, because we're going to have a Caregivers Conference here. Welcome to the program, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Why did you decide to come to the Doubletree this year?
Well, for the last many years, Mary, we've been having this event at the Annapolis Senior Center. And last year we were just busting out at the seams there, so we know we needed a bigger venue. We did a search through Anne Arundel County looking at facilities that could handle our group. And Doubletree came in, they had good space for us, they have free parking, so it seems like an ideal situation for us.
Why are you having a Caregivers Conference in the first place? It's the 20th annual.
That's right. We've been doing this for 20 years. It's hard to believe. But we know that it's really important for caregivers, whether they're family members or whether they're professionals, to get up-to-date, current, recent information and have resources at their fingertips. So that's why we have this day.
So it's not just for the family caregiver, it's also for the professional?
That's correct. Social workers can earn CEUs by coming. We also have workshops that people who work in assisted living and nursing homes and who do home care will be very interested in.
How does the day break down? I know it starts at 8:30 in the morning and goes to about 3:30. What happens first thing in the morning when people come?
Well, people come in at 8:30. We're going to have registration, and then they'll have a continental breakfast, and they'll have a chance to visit the many vendors and exhibitor tables that we'll have around the facility. And then we're going to have our opening session, and we have Lon Kiefer, who is a national speaker who's coming, and Lon is just terrific. He comes in with lots of energy. He calls himself DOC, which stands for Defender of Caregivers. So we're really excited about having Lon start the day off.
What's going to be your first session? I've heard something about a virtual dementia tour. What is that exactly?
That's correct. We're going to do the virtual dementia tour, and we just want to make sure people know space is limited for this. So, you know, if you're interested, make sure you get to the room early. And what this does, Mary, it gives people the experience of having a dementia or having sensory deprivation. So if they're caring for a loved one or if they're working in a facility, it's an excellent opportunity to really understand what that person you're caring for is going through, and so that you can better understand how they are reacting to situations.
Yeah, I understand you said one time they're in their own world and they're not going to come back to your world.
That's correct. And sometimes we label certain activities as bad behaviors, when really it's not a bad behavior, it's people's coping mechanism. And when folks have an opportunity to go through the virtual dementia tour, they understand that a lot better.
And if they don't get to go to the dementia tour, there are two other workshops being held in the morning. What will they be?
That's right. We have a workshop on grief. We know that grieving is a part of caregiving. And it goes on before we lose the person. So grief can come on and last for a very long time. So we have Margot Carey, who's one of our registered nurses at the department, is going to be facilitating that group to help you deal with that grieving issue. And we also have an attorney, Barrett King, who is going to be talking to us about legal issues, particularly how to avoid guardianship situations.
That's a good idea. I think a lot of people don't think beyond the immediate.
That's right.
So. And then you have 3 other sessions that are going to be held before lunch, and people can choose one of those 3.
That's right. We have Kim Burton, who's going to be talking about facilitating communication, and this can be communication between the loved one and the family member, as well as between the family members and the professional caregivers. We also have, I'm trying to remember now what all we have in the morning. We have Lon Kiefer is going to be doing another session for us as far as
showing
talking
humor.
the different caregiving roles and how we have to be flexible to go through these different roles that in different situations that caregiving puts us in. And finally, we're going to have Edith Harrison from the Anne Arundel County Department of Social Services and Cher Torcia, who was our kinship navigator, are going to be talking about resources for family members who are raising children other than their own.
And then you're going to have a box lunch for everyone.
Well, actually, it's much better than a box
lunch.
Oh, good. We're going to have a lovely buffet lunch for everyone.
Good.
And then following that, we're doing something different this year.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, rather than having breakout sessions in the afternoon, we're going to keep people in the same room where we're having lunch. And we have the mental health players of Maryland coming by.
Now, who are they now?
This is a very unique group of volunteers who will be coming out and doing sketches for us. And they'll be doing short sketches for us that deal with all the different kind of problems that caregivers are dealing with. So whether it's communicating with your loved one or communicating with facilities, they're going to be doing different sketches for us. And then it's interactive because after they do these, they're going to involve the audience in how things could be better resolved.
That sounds like a good way to sort of have a break at lunchtime
I think so.
And then have this entertaining part.
Right.
Lastly, you're going to have Mary Fridley wrap it up for you?
That's right. Mary Fridley's going to wrap it up with a bit of humor. We know Mary loves, or people love to have Mary, and we love to have her at the end of the day. It keeps people involved, and I think it's going to be a great way to close the day.
So how much does it cost to attend this? Because I know, you have to pay for the food and the materials that you're going to give to everybody.
Well, I think we're giving everyone a really good deal, Mary. It's only $15 to attend this event. And that includes your breakfast, your lunch, it includes all the materials that will be given out. If you're a social worker and need those CEUs, it's an additional $10, which is also a great bargain, I think.
Absolutely. So now that I've got my $15, then I'm going to register, because this is happening April the 21st,
That's
and we
correct.
want to get people registered by the 16th, I
We'd
think.
like to have them registered by the 16th so we can give an accurate count to the hotel.
And I also understand you're going to have a active day of Pasadena, an active day of Annapolis, or stepping in to give some free respite care for people.
Yes, both of those facilities will be doing respite care on their property. So in Pasadena, it's on Mountain Road, and here in Annapolis, it's right down the street on Revo Road. And so folks can call those numbers to get the information.
All right, and that's going to be by April 13th.
That's
they should
correct.
register.
That's correct.
So if they call your main number, I'm sure you can get them this information, or they can get it online.
That's
correct?
right. They can go online to our website, www.aacounty.org/aging, and just scroll down the page until they see caregiver events, and they can get both the registration brochure, or they can hit a link to register online.
And the phone number would be?
410-222-4464, extension 3043.
Well, this sounds like a very busy day and something that caregivers can really use the assistance and support. So
it's going to be a lot of information for folks, and I also want to recognize the partners that we've had in planning this include the Alzheimer's Association, both of the active day centers that we just spoke of, Gero Resources LLC, Home Instead Senior Care, and Summerford Place of Annapolis. They helped in planning this event and in sponsoring this event. And we're able to offer it at such a low price because of the sponsors and the exhibitors that are going to be here. And I'd just like to mention a few of the sponsors that we have.
Mm-hmm.
We have 5-Star Quality Care, the Department of Social Services here in Anne Arundel County, Anne Arundel Medical Center's Lifeline Program, Morningside House of Friendship, Chesapeake Caregivers Incorporated, Sunrise Assisted Living, and Bath Fitters. Now, they're all of our sponsors, and we do appreciate their support. We also have a large number of vendors and exhibitors who will be here, along with nonprofits. So, and as you know, Mary, we very much appreciate the support of these folks, but we cannot endorse any particular vendor.
Well, we understand that, and I just want to remind people that this event is going to be on Saturday, April the 21st, 8:30 in the morning to around 3:30 in the afternoon. Includes the breakfast, the lunch, and your materials, and some very good programs. Mary, thank you very much for being on Week in Review this week. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
This is Mary Felter for the Anne Arundel County Department of Aging and Disabilities, and we're on Week in Review. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Mary. You know, everybody always tries to do everything themselves, and I guess I'm guilty of that too, but it's good to ask for help, and it's good to meet others in your situation to give you a little peace of mind.
Now, don't think for a second that we're done with Mark Chang. That's right, he also stopped out on parole to check out a program that brings art to children with serious illnesses. Mark?
Thanks to both of you in the studio. I'm here with a great organization called Artists for Amy Foundation, and with me today I have the founders of this great organization, Mr. Tony Poor and Miss Sylvia Poor, and I just want to thank both of you for coming on the show. Tony, could you tell the folks out there what is the Artists for Amy Foundation?
I'll be happy to, Mark. Artists for Amy is a foundation that we created in honor of our daughter Amy, whom we lost to cancer 12 years ago this April, and she died from a glioblastoma brain tumor. And after several years of finding a place for our grief, we wanted to give back, and we knew that we probably couldn't add many zeros to the research dollars, but we could make daily impacts in people's lives. And as a result of that, we knew that we had a lot of external expenses not associated with the disease and the medical treatments that came out of our pockets, and we wanted to be able to help people. Basically, we do expenses that keep the wolf from the door. Rents, mortgages, utilities. We've done hearing aids, cremations, a Disney trip, a couple of second opinions to Children's Hospital in Philly and Children's in Los Angeles. Basically, any expense not covered by insurance that you have to pay, because at the end of the month people go through their bills and they're having to make decisions, co-pays for insurance or the electric bill, and I mean it gets that serious. And we have seen families with some net worth devastated financially because of the illness and the additional costs.
So this is to help the families of children who are terminally ill or seriously ill, correct?
That's correct, Mark. Many of our clients come from Hopkins and the Harriet Lane Clinic and the various area hospitals and social services agencies.
Okay, great. Well, I understand you got a great fundraising event coming up very soon, so could you tell the viewers out there about it?
I can. We have a production company, so we raise most of our funds through our concerts. And we have Wild Willie's coming up in Annapolis. It's April 13th, which is a Friday. It's going to feature Annapolis favorite saxophonist Art Sherrod Jr. and his band, and it's also going to feature Ronnie Queen, a.k.a. Dallas White, who just recently released an album, and they'll have on the show also Glenn Leonard, a former Temptation, and they'll be doing the Motown show.
Well, that sounds pretty wild. That's going to be a great night in Annapolis. If folks can't make it down to the event, but they want to help the organization out, how else can they help out?
You can visit our website at www.artists4amy.org. You can read about us, learn about what we do, and you can also click the donation button. And what people don't realize is that $50, a simple $50 donation, will pay for parking at Hopkins to pay for a parent to stay while their child's been admitted for treatment. And they would be sad to know how many people don't have that $50. And that's what we're there for.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Tony. And Tony, what's the contact number, email address, telephone number?
The telephone number is 410-725-9131. That's me, Tony. And the email is fund, F-U-N-D, at artistsforamy.org.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Tony, and thank you, Miss Sylvia, for coming on the show, and thank you for all you do to help the families out of children who are terminally and severely ill in our area. So really appreciate it, and thank you so much also what you do in the rest of the part of the community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Can I add a tag on that?
Sure thing.
We sometimes forget to say, if you know somebody that needs our help, please reach out and contact us. Asking for help is very, very hard for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Well, that sounds great. Well, reporting with the organization Artists for Amy Foundation for Anne Arundel County Weekend Review, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Mark. What a great way to keep your mind off of being sick, and it's amazing to see the things these kids can create.
Well, one of our most remarkable sports facilities is about to get an upgrade. That's right, folks. The state approved a grant this week that will help the county add a rubberized track to Freedom Field at Lake Waterford Park. If you haven't heard of the facility, you should check it out. It already has a rubberized baseball diamond that is perfect for athletes who use wheelchairs, walkers, or other devices. It's called Adaptive Recreation, and you wouldn't believe what these athletes can do despite their disabilities. The field's very popular with the Maryland Special Olympics and is really a unique facility in the state. The 220-foot-long track will add to the amenities that are ideal for all kinds of sports, including baseball, softball, lacrosse, soccer, and track and field. The state grant is for $438,000 towards a total project amount of $584,000. Construction is expected to begin next spring, and it's fitting that we have our own Carolyn Ryan from the Department of Recreation and Parks. Now, I know we always see Carolyn out there doing the segments in the field. Now we said we're going to bring you in and put you behind the anchor desk so that everybody can see the talent we've been seeing for all these years.
It's a little different being on this side of the production.
It is
being out in the field.
A little scary for your first time?
Not so scary. You know what? I will
pro.
tell you, I've just got to do a little shout out. The guys the crew, the camera crew, they're so great, whether it's here in the studio or out in the field. They do such a great job of making you feel comfortable and putting together a great show. And thank you also for inviting me to come and be on the show.
Of course, and it was fitting that we ended with a special project of yours, the Adaptive Recreation.
At Lake Waterford Park. It's an incredible field, and like you said, if people haven't been out to see it, they really should go by. That's where we run most of our Challenger athletic programs, which are children with disabilities who come out there and give it their all, and it is amazing to see what they can do.
It is amazing. And I tell you, Carolyn, I want to stay with recreation here as we end the show. It's getting nice out. The weather's getting nice. The Masters golf tournament is coming up this weekend. And, you know, we talk about safety. We talk a lot on this program about, you know, being safe, whether it's around Halloween or school buses. And I want to talk a little bit about golf cart safety, Carolyn.
Yeah, I think we're going to propose having seat belts installed in golf carts.
You really, if you're going to operate a golf cart out there, if you're going to operate one of these golf carts, you have to be safe because it's a dangerous, you should get a license to drive one of these things. People need to be careful out there on the golf course when you're driving these golf carts. And I know we had an incident. You want to tell us a little bit about an incident that
We
happened
did.
earlier in the week?
It was
a tragedy, an absolute tragedy.
It was. It was. Our director, Rick Anthony, and our Chief of Recreation Services, Franklin Cheney, were down defending their title at the Maryland Recreation and Parks Association golf tournament.
Yes.
And I mean, it was just the craziest thing that happened where, Franklin took a sharp left and our director fell out of the golf cart.
He's okay, folks. I know we appreciate all the cards and letters that you sent in, and there is an investigation underway, I understand, an internal investigation within the Department of Recreation and Parks to see if Franklin really didn't just kind of give him a little shove out of the cart.
Yeah, we're trying to we're looking at his shirt to see if there are any, tread marks on the back or possibly a footprint. So.
I mean, because I heard that he's trying to pay him back for this whole polar bear plunge thing when Rick and myself tried to throw him into the water.
That
he
may
tried
be
to push
true.
him out of the golf cart.
That may be true. Well, I think he may have one-upped this time.
He got him good.
Yeah,
well,
see.
Folks, be safe out there, whether it's on a golf cart this weekend or you're driving around in your car, because the little ones will be out there hunting for their Easter eggs that the Easter Bunny will be dropping off Saturday night. Folks, go ahead and have yourself a great Easter. And that's going to wrap up this week's edition of Week in Review. You can watch this episode online anytime at www.aacounty.org. Archive episodes are available at blip.tv and on YouTube. You can also subscribe to the free video podcast at iTunes or like us on Facebook at Arundel TV. Please tune in again next week for more news and highlights from around your county. We'll see you next time.